Walkers, welcome back to the club. Today we'll be talking about creating a community. That means recognizing the status quo and realizing that it doesn't have to be that way. We're your hosts. I'm Akila Friend.
And I'm Ebony Chapman.
And for those of you watching along, you can see that we're joined by a special guest. Let's welcome founder and CEO of WalkGood Productions, Etienne Maurice. Hey, Etienne.
What up? What's going on, guys? Thank you for having me.
Yes.
We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Let's jump right into WalkGood. Like, from what we've noticed, that one-liner is that it's bringing people from all walks of life to fight and heal in solidarity through art, health, and wellness, because Black Lives Matter today, tomorrow, and every day after that. So we are jumping right into it with that. But I want to question you. What does that truly mean? I mean, tell us about it.
So WalkGood is a Jamaican euphemism that my grandmother would tell me every time I'd leave the house. She'd be like, "WalkGood, Etienne." It means take care, be careful, walk in good stride. And so when I was thinking about what my brand was going to be, I was thinking, well, what better way than to honor my grandmother and my Jamaican heritage than by calling everything I do WalkGood. So I didn't realize until later that I had changed my Instagram name to WalkGood Etienne, not really realizing that that's what my grandmother would tell me all the time. So that was very funny to realize that later after I built WalkGood Productions. So WalkGood Productions is my production company. WalkGoodLA is a nonprofit. And that's led by myself, my sister, Ivy Coco, who's my vice president, and director of health and wellness, who's my little cousin, Marley Ralph, and she teaches the yoga classes every Sunday. And so, WalkGood was built, WalkGoodLA was built right around the time of, the social injustices and the uprising that was taking place. June 13th was our first protest. I was really affected by the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, and it was really frustrating and really had anxiety as to how I could lend my voice to the fight. And, being a survivor of gun violence, I kind of hesitated at going out and protesting because I didn't want to be assaulted by the cops, those that were supposed to serve and protect us. So I kind of just sat in my house and watched everything happen on the news. And just like in the movies, I was watching different news clips, and I was noticing my friends were out there protesting. And then I had this thought, I was like, yo, when I have kids, they're going to look back at this pivotal moment in time and going to ask me what I did. And I was like, all right, I'm going to have an answer. So we started our first protest. It was twice as hard protest. And we did like a protest run in like the middle of Los Angeles. We just took the streets. We were yelling, "Whose streets? Our streets." And you had all these different chants while we were running. I was out of breath the whole entire time. But I had my cousin Marley, she was there. I was like, "Yo, you're a yoga instructor. You should lead everybody in some stretches." And we saw like a sea of people just like doing these like yoga stretches before we did our protest. And then it's like this idea came in my head, and I pulled Marley aside. I was like, "Marley, you got to teach yoga in the park for Black folks." And then that next week, June 20th, we started Breathe Good, which was, a space where, Black and brown folk alike can come together and find a space of healing through the practice of yoga. And so it started out as 25 people, ended up being 50 people, 50 turned to 100. Now 100 turned into like 200, 300 people in the park every single Sunday. And so, in a sense, we're still protesting, right? Because, our existence is our resistance. And, to be able to have a safe space where Black people can come together and dive into healing head first, it's a beautiful way to not only build community, but to offer a space to let people know that like, you're going to be okay. Like, it's all right. There's a lot of BS going on in this world, but you're not the only one going through it. And we're here for you. So that's WalkGood in a nutshell.
I mean, right.
Yeah. More than a nutshell, or the nutshell, I would say, because there's so many things that we're gonna dive in and dive deep. First of all, I want to just say I'm Jamaican as well. My family's from Jamaica.
Pick up yourself.
And I was I love it. Between the WalkGood, your name, and when I was looking up, I was like, okay, I know they're from Yard. Like I know something. I know something is there.
So my father's from Ivory Coast, and then my mother's Jamaican.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I mean, that's amazing. And I love, like you said, that full circle moment of even the name, down to the name. It comes, it's your own experience and it's your own perspective. And I think that helps, you do everything with some level of authenticity and authority too. So, I mean, it's awesome to hear that. Can we, and share what you wish, because this is, again, we're live, we're just talking, but you mentioned at first with the protest, you were debating whether or not to show up because of your own experience with gun violence. Like, expand on that a little bit more.
So 8 years ago, 7 going on 8 now, I was in Philadelphia and I was shot and robbed for my iPhone and my wallet. I was at a place I didn't need to be at. I don't even remember it happening, to be honest. All I remember is waking up in the hospital and them telling me that I had 2 bullet holes in my leg and a grazed bullet in my eyebrow, and they had found me like far west of Philadelphia, like from where I was going to school. And that was the last time I ever drank, I ever smoked. And so, I'm now 7.5 years sober because of that incident. And that was really the moment that changed my life. And I was like, all right, I need to figure this out, because I'm not going to lose my life over some bullshit. Can I cuss?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I think that was like my first step in my process, my first step in my journey of healing, was to be able to abstain from something that I was obviously doing a lot of, which was drinking and smoking and turning up. Now I still turn up, but just without drugs and alcohol. I was turning up just like any other college student. When I was doing it, I was just doing it to the excess, and it almost cost me my life. And so when I look back at that experience, I think to myself, well, damn, I probably wouldn't have gotten into that bullshit had I had a community like WalkGood, And so with everything that we're doing with WalkGoodLA and being able to bring people together and really provide community, it's like, it makes me think like how many other young Black men and women who don't have a community could be a part of this experience and have their life changed. And so they'll be able to, feel protected and feel encouraged to make smarter life choices. It's when I think about my experience with gun violence, I think, thank God I'm alive, because now I'm being able to do the work I'm doing now, and in some way I'm helping someone else's life, and I'm keeping other people alive. So
yeah, honestly, thank you so much for sharing that story, because I think that what you said is super powerful, because it's not just, oh, I see something going on and I want to participate. It was like, I literally had this experience, and this is what I want to do to change my negative experience into something positive. And so that is amazing. And I also want to talk about like this idea of community. I know we kind of touched on it already, but what about a community to you? Like, what does that mean? Because community it's something like, I just think about my own experience, and I think about like when I went to private school, I went to like a Catholic school. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, the fact that we all did the same thing, and I'm not gonna say we had all the same life experiences, but like at school we did, right? Like we all had the same teachers, we all went to mass on Fridays, and it was a relatability that I knew that like when I would go to class or go to school, like I have these people to talk to and to lean on. So I guess with you creating a community, just outside of yourself, not just with you and your family, but outside within the Black community, like how does that feel?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's break down the word community, right? It's a commune, it's like you're communicating with a group, right? And then unity is the group coming together, right? And if there's something that I've been able to do really well throughout my lifetime, is to build community, whether that was throwing parties, whether that was putting together, film clubs in high school and college. My mom always said that I had like a natural gift of being able to use my charisma, my personality, and being able to get people to come together for one cause. And so now with WalkGood, I'm just doing that on like a grander scale, like in the city of Los Angeles, which is my home. And literally I'm doing it like the park that we do at LA High Memorial Park. That's like the park I grew up at. That's those are the same swings that I would swing with my sister. So it means a lot because it's where I'm from, and it's not like I moved to LA. No offense if y'all not from LA.
Okay, New York in the house. What's up?
So it's like, it means more. And that's the most beautiful thing about WalkGood is that you got folks from LA coming and actually being a part of this community, right? And it was almost like the perfect storm, with Black Lives Matter happening, with the protests and with COVID. It was like people finally like woke up and realized, I was like, oh wait, I need to be a part of something, and I think it's again, it's beautiful to see it happening real time in front of me. I kind of take for granted the experience of being the organizer, because there are so many people that come up to my sister and that come up to Marley, and they tell us like how their lives are forever changed by coming to Breathe Good, by doing yoga, and by doing all the various activities that we offer. And like they realize that, oh, I needed this space, and obviously, LA, we get this bad rep that there are no Black people here. I mean, there's a lot of us, but like we're all just in different spaces. Well, WalkGood is a space where we can all come together.
I'm laughing.
Akila literally just said that all the time. And trust me, I say it with my chest.
I see. But look, you Black and you here in LA.
Bill gangs up on, we're not gonna do that.
Come on, I let you rock. It's okay. It's okay.
No, I will say though, another thing that I thought was really interesting that you kind of touched on just now and even at the very beginning was like, the fact that you went to these protests and then you just had a kind of a sidebar with your cousin Marley and was like, you know what, there's something that we can do here. Like, let's break that down a little bit more, because it's one thing to talk to your friends, to your family about your ideas, but then to actually see it come to fruition and at the scale, like you said, that it has in such a short period of time. Let's break down the idea to the development. What happened?
Right. So we started with the Twice as Hard protest. So the protest was really our foundation, fighting for Black lives. And after the protest, I would set up a mic. I kind of set it up like a party. I had my boy DJ Omega. He'd set up his sound system, and we'd play music, and everybody would gather in the park, and then we just take the streets. And so we did this 10 weeks straight, right, in my neighborhood. And we'd block off the sections of like Olympic and Highland, Olympic in La Brea and Wilshire, and then Wilshire to Rimpaw. And that was the start, was the protest. And then while I came up with the idea of doing yoga in the park with Marley, she had just got let go from Core Power Yoga because she's a licensed yoga instructor, and it was COVID and they didn't need her anymore. And then I thought, like, we're exerting all this energy and all of our frustrations. Like after the protests, we get on the mic, we speak, and a lot of people were finding their voices. It was in that of itself, it was a healing experience. People that always would tell me like, oh man, I never get on the mic, but I feel like I need to say something. That is healing alone. Then I felt as if though we need to take it a step further, just because yoga is fun. And I tell people this all the time. I was not a yogi. I was not doing any type of downward dog, upward dog, eagle pose. I wasn't doing none of that. But I knew that it was going to help people. And I saw that. And I said, Marley, since we're already bringing this amount of people to come protest, we need to offer some type of programming. And we did just that. And those same people that were coming to the protests ended up coming to yoga, and their lives were being changed. And then it was like the first class, it was like 25 people. We thought we was real big shit. And then we started taking over like one side of the park. And I was just looking at videos just now, like we thought we was really popping for just having like 100 people on one side of the park. We thought we were doing great. You know, we were getting, yeah, it was fantastic. It's like 100 people during a pandemic doing yoga, all 6 feet apart. And then February came around. We took a little hiatus the month of January. And then we came back, and all of a sudden we took over the whole entire park. Then I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is lit. It was like a club. It was like a party. It was like legit, like it was like a yoga party. And we were like, all right, wow, we really have something. But I think the beauty in all of this is that like we were consistent, you know, that we've been doing this every single Sunday since June 20th. Wow. You know, we were protesting every single Saturday, 10 weeks straight. And after the protest started to die down, we still continued with Breathe Good, with yoga in the park. And, you know, we have different guest speakers come. We have local legislative officials come and speak. This month, we've been celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month, and a portion of our proceeds we're donating to the Lee Thompson Young Foundation, which is an organization, you know, celebrating the life of my good friend Lee Thompson. You might have remembered him from the famous hit Jackson. He was a good friend of mine. He had committed suicide. He was suffering from bipolar disorder. And, you know, his foundation is his sister and his mother put together. And so they were just raising funds to enact different programming that really helps young people's lives that are dealing with mental illness and mental disorders. So that's something very, very close to me that I've been an initiative that I've been supporting through WalkGood. And then we've also donated, like, you know, journals to the Precious Dreams Foundation for foster youth of Los Angeles. They just donated like over like 100, 200 journals. We've been donating every single yoga class. We donate to the unhoused community of Los Angeles through various organizations, such as Lending Relief and Benekit, and they actually take the donations that we bring, the hygienic products, the masks, you know, anything that the unhoused community need, we provide off of the donations that people bring to Breathe Good. And so these organizations hand delivered, like they make these toolkits and they give them to those that are in need of them. So I like to say, like, we show up to our mats while we show up to our mats while we show up for others. You know, we breathe for those that are no longer able to breathe with us. So that's like really the philosophy of WalkGood. You know, while we're showing up for ourselves, we're also showing up for others.
That's great.
Yeah, I love that so much. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that, like, you know, even though the Black Lives Matter movement has been, I feel like there's mixed emotions around like it, but I feel like it's been actually the most positive thing within the time period of like what's going on. And I just think about like my dad, he's in his 70s. And so I always just think about, this is kind of like the reawakening of, I mean, it sucks that we have to keep doing it every so often, but it's like kind of the reawakening. And I think the reason why people are so, especially the Black people, are so excited, I'm sure you get a range of ages too that come out.
Yeah, it's intergenerational.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think the reason why it's so exciting to people, because I don't remember seeing a whole lot of what you're doing in LA, like
pre-pandemic.
At all. Mm-hmm. Right. Pre-pandemic. And so for me, I'm like, my dad's always like, oh my gosh, we used to play in the yard. We used to do this. You guys don't play outside. You guys are on the TV. You're doing
and
this.
You're like, Dad, we'll show you.
Yeah. Exactly. And I just feel like it's so nice to like be outside, fellowship, be with the people that look like you, that are going through the same struggles you're going through, that have heard and been through everything already. I'm talking about like the older generation. And then us as like the younger generation being like, dang, I didn't think we'd be doing this again. Dang, this is crazy. And really relating to our parents in the whole nother generation that we did not see before. So I just commend you again on like what it is that you're doing, because I feel like it's the most amazing thing to just really be outside. We're outside.
We outside with it.
And it's a different type of party, you know. It's not
spiritual healing.
You're not doing, it's spiritual healing, and it's like, because I do think we have that fellowship, but oftentimes it's in the versions of
parties,
day parties, barbecues, like let's travel outside together. Let's just escape what's going on in our own hometowns. And so, I mean,
it's a revolution, you know, it's definitely a revolution. This is a new way of life, you know. And I also want to reiterate that like none of this work could be done without, you know, the help of my sister and my cousin. You know, Ivy and Marley, they really have been the glue to help make everything happen the way it did. They're really like the support system and the foundation of WalkGood. You know, while I did start, you know, putting together these programs and getting people to show up, you know, like they are the ones, they're my right and my left hand, you know. And it's cool to be that we're doing it as a family. You know, it's definitely made us closer than we've ever been before. I mean, we've always been close, but like now we're like, we talk like every day. We on a text thread every single day, and we was not talking like that every single day pre-pandemic at all. But you know, it's also cool to see like all of us develop, you know, individually as artists, as creators, as organizers. You know, I've seen Marley, I remember when she taught her first class, and now to see like she's teaching a class like 300 people, you know, every single Sunday is remarkable. And she's only like 24 years old, you know. And then my sister, you know, being able to manage everything from a business standpoint, being able to like, you know, handle our merch. You know, she and Coco and I call her Coco because I named her that, but she goes by Ivy. She's the one that comes up with like different ideas for merch and t-shirts, and I'm the one that designs it and makes it look cool. So we're all finding our paths as creatives for the greater good of our community. So yeah, that makes me happy. I had to mention that. I had to say that.
I mean, no, that's perfect. That blends right into what we wanted to talk about, which is just kind of that family dynamic. In a sense, yes, this is very much community-based and social activism and all of that wrapped into one, but it is a business as well. And you're doing that with your family. Just wanted to know more about that dynamic, which you just explained. But any other thing that you can share, either how do you even separate the two between being family and working together? Is there that separation? How do you work through quarrels that may happen in any business, but also within the family business, you know?
I mean, I try to be a diplomat about things. I try to respect everyone's opinions. But there are times where I feel like we have to do something, and then I just be like, yo, y'all just got to follow suit and just trust me. And then sometimes I got to take a seat back and be like, they'll suggest something that we need to do, and I'll be like, fine, all right, we'll do it. Just because it's like, I want everybody to feel good, and I want everybody to feel comfortable and feel like they're appreciated in the process of what we're creating, you know, because you know, we all need each other. Like, we all played a very pivotal role in the creation of WalkGood. You know, I wake up every Sunday at 6:30 and I pack up all the equipment. I put it in my Prius. I drive down to the park, which is like a few blocks away. It's like 4 blocks away from my house. And I set up the mics and I set up the stands. I do a little sound check. I get the music started when everybody comes. You know, my sister, she packs up all the merch and puts it in her car. You know, and then I just try and make Marley feel comfortable in the space as she gets there, when she's there on time, so that she can do yoga the right way, you know, and with her being the director of health and wellness, you know, she also heads all the other different types of programs that we offer. So we do like Hike Good, we do Sweat Good, we do Paint Good, we're doing Fight Good. So these are all new programs. Everything's good. Everything good. You know, so these are the various programs that we offer as a community, as a family, just to get people's minds moving. But like I said before, without one of us, it's not a well-oiled machine like it has been.
I think that's really good to note. And I think with us working together day in and day out too, it's like, I get you on the text messages, on the communication.
Right.
We We are always on the phone. But we are always
and it wasn't like that at first, you know? It was like,
Mhm.
I'm like, cause I'm that person that's like, I'm on Instagram and I'm like, oh, this is an idea. And I'll just start texting her. So there's
Mhm.
like 50 messages of just me and like no
Uh-huh.
response. And so then, and then I'll be like, wait, did you get
She's
my
calling you out, yo. She's calling you out.
She gets back to me eventually.
Let me
After
tell
the
you
work
how- I'm
day's
gonna say,
over.
let's see what happens.
After the work day's over, she gets back to me. But but I mean, we have figured out our little flow now because we talk every day. So it is a balancing act. And then there's ideas too that come up, and you're like, hey, is that a good idea? But at the same time, you're like, that's my partner. Like, let's just roll with it.
Just
Yeah,
roll
you
with
gotta
it.
learn it. You gotta learn each other's strengths,
Yeah.
And I think we've done a pretty good job of being able to identify that. I create the flyers every single freaking week. I mean, I create all the flyers for our Instagram. I post everything on Instagram. Then my sister Ivy should be like, no, you should post it like next day, or like post something else, post a flyer, and then post this photo because it doesn't look right. So you have to make it look nice. I'm like, all right, visual director. I'm very impulsive, like how I started WalkGood. I felt like there was a need for it, and I went with where my heart told me to go.
I love that.
So Ivy and Marley, they're like my brains. They're my left and right brain.
I think I really want to make sure that
heart.
we tap into, because there are a lot of people that I'm sure out here doing community-based events and really trying to elevate that to the next level. Yes, we talked about the fact that you were able to grow from 25 to 100 to 200 to, the whole park being kind of, oftentimes occupied every single week. And how did that truly happen? Do you think it was because of that perfect, and I say perfect in quotations because Black Lives
It was a perfect storm.
It wasn't perfect, but the perfect storm of it all. And how did you really capitalize on that? Was it like keep people around? Yeah, keep people out. Was it just Instagram marketing? Like, what did you truly do to get?
Y'all,
Yeah,
consistency. Like the fact that we're doing this every single Sunday. Like, there's a bunch of other organizations that started around the same time as we did, and they're not around. We're still here. We're still here every single Sunday, every single Wednesday. We do runs every Wednesday for our runners. We do Breathe Good every Sunday for our yogis. We're doing Sweat Good for anybody who wants to get a little workout in. It's like we're just offering different types of programs and different types of ways to keep people's body and minds and spirits moving. And I think that's just the connection right there. Is people, like I said before, is like people saw that there was a need for it, and they saw that we're cool Black kids doing something in the city, and they want to be a part of that. Anytime you're working on yourself and you work from a place of joy, people always see that, and people want to be a part of that. And like, we are the epitome of Black joy, and I think that's the success of WalkGood, is us being a family and then extending our family to our Los Angeles community. And now we've been taking it to New York. So New York, WalkGood NY, 17th and 18th, we're going to be doing Pain Good and Breathe Good in Brooklyn.
Okay. Of June?
Of July. 17th, 18th of July.
We're going to be in New York. Wait, you said the 17th and 18th?
17th and 18th of July.
I definitely will be there. Ed might.
Oh, come on, Ed. Come on.
I'm gonna have to extend my trip. I was only going for the 4th of July.
I wanted to experience the full New York treatment, and now we know that that's definitely something we got to do.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, got to.
Right in Brooklyn too.
Yeah, and then June 11th through the 13th is WalkGood weekend. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary. So June 11th, we have an art exhibit in Hollywood, in West Hollywood, that we're curating, the Roots and Culture art exhibit. And then on the 12th, we're gonna do a hike during the day, our Hike Good. And then at night, we're doing a nighttime yoga, sound bath healing event in the art space. And then so like the art space will be open, the exhibit will be open for that whole entire weekend.
Okay. Yeah. That is my birthday weekend, so maybe I gotta.
Okay, all right, come on, you gotta do a little ton up.
Exactly. I want to also touch on the fact that you have this other aspect of your business, of your brand, of WalkGood in general, that's, really just, again, tapped into the social causes of this community, of the Black community. And So I want to talk a little bit about the petitions you have in place today. Like, what are the statuses of some of the petitions, any petition or cause that you want to highlight that you guys have been actively working on?
Yeah, I think the biggest one was Breonna Taylor's case. I think we got like over like 200 petitions signed. There's also, Ahmaud Arbery, and making sure that his case was going to go to trial, and it eventually did. Now, those three gentlemen that killed him are now in jail and are seeking trial right now. Also, I think the biggest, aside from the petitions, where our focus has been was really raising money and raising the funds for these different organizations. Helping out the memorial funds, and also making sure that local organizations were receiving funds from the community, from the WalkGood community. So, for instance, during Women's History Month, every yoga class we raise funds for Uniquely You, which is an organization for young Black women, raising money for their scholarships for them to go to college. We've raised money for, the George Floyd Memorial Fund, the Ahmaud Arbery Memorial Fund. There was a young man who was hung in Palmdale, Robert Fuller. That was like the first protest we raised money for his a memorial fund. So, a lot of it, it's like we feel like, at least for me, I always feel like I want to save the world, but the reality is like you're not, so you can do it by one day at a time and try and use your platform. And I suggest this to anybody who wants to do something and wants to build communities. Figure out a way in which you can give back, figure out a way in which you can use your platform to fight for the life of somebody in your community, whether you know them or not. Not only will it make you feel good, but it gives you purpose. WalkGood, I always tell people, it saved my life because it's given me purpose. I never knew that I'd be doing the work that I'm doing now on such a grand scale. But I feel like if we continue to pay attention and want to learn more about social justice issues, do it at your own pace. Do it at your own pace. No, don't get anxiety from worrying about whether you're doing enough. By you having the conversation and your willingness to learn more is just the first step. But then action comes after that. Because I don't have it all together. I don't know everything, but I'm taking the time to learn. I mean, granted, I've never considered myself an activist. Like, I was always like for the cause, but I was really for the cause, like I was showing up to the protests, but I wasn't leading the protests. But now that I am leading protests and events that are geared towards social justice, I feel like there's a responsibility, but I think that's why people even were attracted to the things we were doing WalkGoodLA, because like I come from the perspective of like, yo, I don't have all the answers. I'm on this journey with you, and I'm learning with you. But if you have any suggestions and ways in which we can enhance the experience and get people to learn more about what's going on, by all means, I'm open. So I'm trying to do more social justice posts to keep people more informed through WalkGood, so people don't forget. I want people to remember the names. I want them to not forget that we're still being killed at the hands of police. And then there's so many other things happening around the world. I know it can be a lot, but we just have to tackle one issue at a time.
Yeah, and I think it's so important too. And I think that's what makes and what you all are doing with Breathe Good and, eventually Sweat Good and things of that nature, is the fact that oftentimes when you're so entrenched in social justice, it's traumatic and you're kind of reliving that trauma almost every day. And you're so into it because you want it to change and you want to be that change. And so having that outlet is great for the community. And it sounds like it's also an outlet for you who's like leading this. And so it's not only the trauma of like the change and the donations and the petitions and, the fact that you have to be reminded of these names and these, senseless killings, but it's also, then you're leading a group of people who are also reminding of that. And how do we all feel better And so, yeah, how do you feel better? And it sounds like it's through WalkGood too.
Yeah, it's definitely through WalkGood. You know, don't get it twisted though. I still get anxiety having to organize and put together, this event on a weekly basis. But it keeps me going. I'd rather be doing something than not doing anything, you know. And again, for those that come and show up and support, I'm grateful, because none of this would be happening if people didn't show up. But like Fred Hampton said, where there's people, there's power.
Yes.
All of that. And honestly, I want to know, like, what is your balancing act? Because is this WalkGoodLA? You have your production company as well. So what are kind of projects that you also are handling with the production company that are also maybe coinciding with WalkGoodLA, and how are you balancing it all? Because like you said, a weekly basis of putting together a full on 2 events every week, it's a lot.
And what's that
big? It is a lot.
Where are you hoping to, channel everything to a year or 2 down the line?
Well, so I am the creative director at the African American Film Critics Association. And so we are really a group of Black film critics that get together every year and vote on the best TV shows and films. And we also host weekly roundtables on our YouTube channel, and really spreading, helping the narratives of Black storytellers, tell their stories, and really uplifting those creatives in front and behind the screen. And so I direct their live award show every year, both their TV honors and the AFCO Awards. So that's like a full year, every month type deal, right? And really, I just have to use my iCal and use my calendar the best way I know I can. I'm really, really bad at it, but that's the only way I'm gonna stay on top of my work. I have to wake up early as hell. I got to wake up at least by 6:30, just so I can go to the gym, meditate, knock out my assignments, and then figure out how to make WalkGood the best experience that people have had. So it's you find the time for the things that you love.
Yeah.
And I love filmmaking, and I love WalkGoodLA, and that's
what else you should love, and I hope that the people outside there love as well.
Myself.
We love the Black Creators Club.
yes, and the Black Creators Club too, of course.
The best way that you can pay us back and just to repay all the information that we've sharing with you is just share the show with a friend, subscribe to our YouTube page or on Apple or Spotify podcast. Everything is at the Black Creators Club. And when you do, please rate, review our podcast. It definitely helps. And we will also read fan shout outs on the air. So if you have any questions, any future guest suggestions, any topics that you want us to really touch on when it comes to redefining creativity and amplifying Black storytelling, definitely contact us at the Black Creators Club at gmail.com. We have just a few minutes left. Yes. But all that said, hold on, one second.
Say it again, because
the whole thing froze. You said, wait, hold on. I think you were about to say something spicy and God knew it, but go ahead.
No.
Okay, are we here?
Can you hear me? I can see y'all perfectly.
Okay, perfect.
Try it again.
I was like, I don't know what just happened there.
Can you see me now? Or
I can see you. You're moving perfectly. Everything's good.
All right. I was asking, how did you guys find out about WalkGoodLA?
Oh yeah. So a friend of mine, I think it was a friend of yours as well, went to one of your Breathe Good sessions and we were just like, oh my God, love it, whatever else. And then we also noticed after that, and I don't know if it's just the whole algorithm of Instagram, Facebook, what have you, after talking about it, we saw your Instagram page. And then I think after that is when we reached out just blankly, right? I think after we saw it.
It was something like that. I do know we have a mutual friend that we know that goes to WalkGoodLA, and then I have a few friends too have brought it up and mentioned it. And I was like, oh, WalkGoodLA, like, what is this? Like, let me just go on the Instagram and stalk them for half a sec. So then I was looking, and I was like, you know what? They seem like dope people that we need to have on the podcast.
Like right on par with what we're saying. And you're young, Black, doing good things. I mean, love it.
And then we just reached out, and then look at what we look at what
Here
happened.
we are. Here
we
we are.
are.
Awesome.
And
Well, we appreciate your support. We thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your support, for showing up and really talking to us. I want to give you a minute or so if there's anything else that we probably didn't touch on, anything that you want to make sure that our audience knows. Floor is yours.
No, your health is your greatest wealth. That was something that my grandmother would always tell me. And so, I encourage people to find what makes them happy, whether that's, journaling, creating art, meditating, invest in yourself, pour love into yourself. And again, my spirit, my whole body, my mind is filled with a bunch of saying. My Jamaican grandmother would always tell me, and she would always say, "Good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best."
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I love that you start with grandma and we end with grandma. We love it.
That's what we need to bring on next. Or like at least hear her more.
I wish. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, she definitely passed on a lot and obviously left a legacy. So that's
and
that's
I feel like that's what any parent or grandparent wants to do, is leave a great impact on their children or grandchildren. And she clearly seems like she was the heartbeat of the family. So
yes, she was. She was definitely the heartbeat, the glue. She was everything to us. So, I remind people too, is like, when you lose someone, you're mourning, you're grieving, and you're wishing that person could be alive to experience the love that you create and to see all the wonderful experiences that you're providing. But then I remember it's like, now everything I do, I have to do because, it's not only she would want me to, but, I do it in celebration and honor of her. And, I think a lot of what I do is for those that I've lost, because like they're not here to experience life, so why not live mine to the fullest? So that's what we're doing with WalkGood.
And that's that on that. I think that's amazing. And again, like, let our listeners know where they can find you or WalkGood in general.
Yes, you can follow us at WalkGoodLA, WalkGoodLA on everything, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow me if you want, WalkGood Etienne, and just be on the lookout for everything that we have going on. We'd love to see y'all and support what we're doing. We're just a bunch of young Black folks just trying to do good in our community.
There it is. More than good, better, best.
Yes, there you go. You picked up on it.
You can find me chatting business, pop culture, and just overall lifestyle at Tequila Friends.
And you can find me on Instagram at EbonyChapman12, talking everything Black-owned businesses, as well as the Black Creators Club.
Yes, follow us again at the Black Creators Club, and always abide by your ABCs. Always be creating. Thank you.